Wow, these are some wild markets. Let's bring in Oliver Sloup of Blue Line Futures in Chicago and sort it all out. Oliver, the wheat trade is really something to behold. It's hard to corral this thing here.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And we've been kind of cautioning clients here over the past several weeks that if you don't need to trade it, there's no need to. The volatility is going to continue to remain high. And oftentimes when you get higher volatility, you get a lot of emotion tied up in the market. And that obviously encourages some irrational trade movements, as we've seen on a number of occasions over the past 3 weeks. Ultimately, I think we will start to find a little bit more of a market equilibrium. But right now, we're just in the yo-yo stage. We probably overextended to the upside, might overextend to the downside, but eventually we'll get there and we'll get these markets back to some sort of normalcy, which I think we're starting to see, especially when you look in the outside markets. You've got crude oil coming off those spike highs last week. You've got gold and silver, which are typically safe haven assets, coming off quite a bit. So I think we've breached that peak peer panic that we saw last week. And although the volatility is still high, I think it starts to shrivel up in here and we'll get back to fundamentals. Now, as far as the fundamentals go, there's still a lot of big question marks, especially for corn and soybeans as we inch closer towards that spring planting season. And the technicals are shaping up pretty good. We've been consolidating for the better part of the last week and a half, which could lead to a bigger directional move. And that could be to the upside if we get out above $7.75 in that May corn contract and above $17 in the May beans with some conviction. I think there's room for the market to go.
All right, interesting stuff. Back on that crude oil market, just for our radio listeners, I wanted to point out that it's not making a small move today. Look at that April contract on the West Texas Intermediate crude. We're basically down $9, down $8.99 right now at $100.34 a barrel. It had been as low as $99.76. The gold market was lower, as you mentioned here a little bit ago. Currently, the April contract down 25 bucks at 1960 per ounce. But the Dow is actually going the other direction. And look at this. You have the March futures up 399 points at 33,324. All kinds of stuff going on. Also, the U.S. dollar index, by the way, is now showing a loss of 205 points on the March futures at 98.925.